Good afternoon. Welcome to the November 3rd meeting of the Columbia Rotary Club. Out of respect for our speaker, if you could please silence your cell phones now, and I'm going to ask Matt to come up and do the invocation.
Thank you. Let us bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for the gift of this day and for the food and fellowship we share as Columbia Rotarians. As the seasons turn and we adjust to our new venue, we are reminded that change is part of your design. Each season brings its own beauty, lessons, and opportunities. In our work and personal lives, may we embrace change with the same grace as the seasons. Help us find joy in new opportunities, patience in times of transition, and strength in serving our community with open hearts. Bless our efforts today, that they may bring light, love, and positive change to others. Amen.
Thank you, Matt. Now we'll do the national anthem.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, before we sit down, if we can do the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Okay. Graham.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I'll just talk really loud for now. Welcome. We have one visiting Rotarian, Eddie. Eddie is joining us from the 5 Points Club. Welcome. And then if you have a guest, please stand. I think I have 4 here right now, and I can't remember everything. So we first have Kevin. Kevin, will you please stand? Kevin actually found this on LinkedIn, which is really exciting for us because we've been increasing a bunch. So I'm glad it's working. And Kevin, there's a nonprofit, and runs a nonprofit, and also works with AI for businesses.
Sure, that's simple.
All right, now I have Denise, and she's joining us. She is with the American Red Cross. Welcome. She is a technical writer. Welcome. Eleanor, and he is just
hopefully this is his last meeting as a guest.
Thanks, Graham. All right, we're having a technical issue, but I think y'all can hear me now. So just for all the visiting Rotarian and all the visitors, we are happy that you're here and thank you for coming back. We've got, I think, 3 that are in process of being approved for membership, so that's awesome. So welcome here, and like I said, we're glad you're here. One housekeeping note, I don't mind singing every week. I kind of like to do it, but we need somebody else that's willing to step up to the plate. And you don't have to be a great singer, even when the microphone's not working. But we do need somebody else, at least one person, to help do that, because I'm not going to be here every week. So anybody that's willing to do that, raise your hand. Okay. John? Thank you, John. Anybody else? And Andrew. Okay, super. Thanks. Auditions will be after the meeting. Okay. And I'm going to ask Grace to come up and do health and happiness. Yeah, we need Liz. Oh, okay. Okay, so it should be working. Okay, Grace.
I want to thank William for pointing out to me that I don't speak directly into the microphone, and sometimes I can't be heard. And he very kindly shared this to me, so thank you, William. We have a few really good announcements. Maybe I'll use my stage voice. I'm going to read the part. I'll just use my stage voice. I'm going to read the card message today. The cart fund began when Roger Ackerman suggested that Rotarians drop the coins in their pockets into the blue bucket. I don't want to shock anyone. Drop the coins from their pockets into the blue buckets on the table, and that continues to be a valuable way for us to donate. But now there are other ways to donate. One of those is the Roger Ackerman Circle. Rotarians who join the circle can make recurring contributions online, and it is very simple to do. Go to mycartfund.org. mycartfund.org. And then you get the receipts too. So that's our card message. For our health and happiness announcements, Margaret and Andrew Clarkson had their Columbia Sailing Club Midlands Regala, which is a race. Margaret and Andrew are co-chairs of it. They had 156 boats. 60% of them were kids, and they came from, it was at Lake Murray, and they came from all over the country, and it was a great success. So, well done. I found out on the way here that one of my best friends is having a baby, so that's exciting. And then I got some of y'all's Halloween costumes that I feel like would make you happy to hear. Doug was Uncle Lewis, and his wife was Aunt Bethany, which I did not get the reference, but Chevy Chase. I guess a Christmas funeral. But I bet it was great. We had a Cruella de Vil. Margaret was fried chicken. Harry Jeffcoat's costume got here yesterday, but he was going to be Gandalf, which is pretty good. Billy Canty was Elvis, so he has not left the building. Andrew was a pirate. Zach's baby, Ellie, was Boo from Monsters Incorporated. Awesome. And I also wanted to say that our book drive, we need books. So that stack that's sitting there, you can bring them here, drop them off, call one of us, we'll pick them up. But that's all I got for y'all there.
Thank you, David. And before I do our formal introduction of Dr. Cynthia Davis, I want to share with you the first time that I met Cynthia. We were in a conference. We were at a conference in Greenville, and this beautiful, tall, striking, thin brunette comes running up to me and she says, "I want to be you." And the only thing I could think to say to her was, "Honey, bless your heart." Do you not have a reflective surface anywhere in your house? We have been fast friends ever since, and she did become me. I did some work in the Midlands, and she later did the same work in the Piedmont region. Dr. Cynthia Davis is the Senior Vice President of Sustain SC, where she drives strategic partnerships, committee initiatives, and workforce development to align sustainability with economic growth across South Carolina. Cynthia holds a Bachelor of Science in Psychology from Wofford College, a Master's in Education and Education Specialist degree from Converse, as well as a PhD in Educational Leadership from Clemson University. Before joining Sustain SC in October of 2023, she led the existing industry program at the South Carolina Department of Commerce, where she spearheaded business retention and expansion strategies, ensuring industries had the workforce and resources needed to thrive. She is an avid hunter, an angler, farmer, and mother to a son, a daughter, and a 2-year-old lab. Cynthia believes that the power of responsible land and water management is the key to our future. Please welcome my friend, Dr. Cynthia Davis.
So the lesson is, don't play with the button. Okay. Yay. Yay. No yay. It was green before and now it's red. Oh man, hey. Y'all, we used to be teachers, so we're good with, stop, drop, and roll, modify, and adjust, all those kind of things. Well, and thank you, Kay, for that kind introduction. I know that was a lot of words about me. Just to say that I've been in the workforce since I was 14 years old. So I've had a number of jobs, and the career path has been really a very interesting road to get to where I am today. And I am so excited to see y'all today. And what I was thinking about when Grace was talking about the different types of costumes, you're right, it is in and out, the different types of costumes that people had on for Halloween last week, it made me think about, I did a luncheon for Greenwood, and we're going to talk about the Greenwood resilience and planning that we're doing for them. So it was on Thursday, October the 30th, right? It's a lunch meeting, much like Rotary. Well, one woman came dressed as a taco. She just, showed up as a taco, and I should have put a picture of it up here. But it was so interesting that she felt confident enough to do that, and I asked her, I said, what? I love your costume. Is there something special you're doing today? And she said, well, I just felt like, dressing up for Halloween needed 2 days. 1 day's not enough. Like, there you go. Yeah, you do you on. But she was going to all of her meetings that day. There's nothing particular other than Halloween needs 2 days to dress up. Like, yes. So, good people in South Carolina, all over the place. I guess we're going to be in and out. Yeah. Okay.
We're working on getting another mic in.
So, if you want to, do I pull up my slides?
Yep, you can go right there. Go slide forward.
Okay, look at that.
But y'all, and I do appreciate too the kindness of, technical difficulties and microphone and, people trying to bring you a good program today. And it's just that spirit of Rotary that I've known since I was in the Greenwood Rotary Club from 2007 to 2017. I was a Rotarian there in Greenwood, and they have a fantastic club as well. So we're going to talk about Sustain SC today. As Kay mentioned, I could talk about Department of Commerce, as I was there for 6.5 years before I retired from the state and led the existing industry team there, which was such a joy because Commerce is always known for, the big shiny white elephant that we've attracted to the state. We have a big ribbon cutting and golden shovels and all this kind of stuff, where really the rubber meets the road is the existing industries and businesses that are already here. They're the ones that are driving our economy. The people that are attracted here, that they're not going to be into helping us with our GDP for several years to come. So I loved concentrating on those that are here. All right, so what does Sustain SC do? So we stand in the crossroads of commerce and conservation. We are facilitators, we're connectors of resources, and what we're trying to do is just trying to help businesses that are already here. So, next slide. Sustain SC is nonpartisan. I want to say that. We do not lobby. We are not advocates in one way or another. We have members that are from government, utilities, conservation partners. And what we're talking about is land and water use, and also about energy and air as well. So, people may feel one way or another about sustainability or sustainability goals, but every single person in this room can agree that we all want clean air, land, and water, right? We can all say, yes, we want to have that. So what we're trying to do is help businesses collaborate, building bridges, sometimes with unlikely partners, and then we're just trying to help with expertise, data, decision makers, practitioners getting together to help that community. All right, so what is sustainability? And a lot of people, have different definitions about different things. When I first started this job, y'all, a couple of years ago, I asked my husband, I said, hon, what do you think sustainability is? Now you have to understand he's only one step away from Crocodile Dundee. He lives in the woods. And he said, that's a bunch of them tree huggers. And I'm like, oh, you mean like you and me that have timber forests? Yes, you are right. We do love our timber. Timber is the #1 agricultural product in South Carolina. But there's a little bit more to it. Anybody want to shout out sustainability? What does it mean to you? Just a one word.
Clean fisheries.
Here we go. Yeah. And sustain part means we want to keep them clean. They're clean now, and we want them to be clean in the future. So we need to be accountable for what we're putting into the water and what we're putting into the land and air. I guess I can put it that way. Do it change? Yep, too much. So, Sustain SC member City of Columbia is doing quite a bit with this focus. And y'all may know this already with bridging together the economy and the environment. So we're going to talk a little bit more about City of Columbia and what they're doing in just a little bit, but just know that Mayor Rickman and all the folks that work with him with the Climate Action Committee, they are doing a fantastic job, and we'll delve into that in a second. So we are a public and private entity. So that means that we receive public dollars from the South Carolina Department of Commerce. Don't know how that happened. And the South Carolina Office of Resilience. Don't know, I'm just kidding. So then we get our membership dollars so that we're able to operate from all of these members. So we are collaborating with these people. We help with solutions at the state level, trying to create that community to advance sustainability. and provide, like I said, resources and data. And so a lot of these on here are household names that you know well. Sunoco, you probably know, is a global company. Of course, all of our utilities are on there. And then the B and the B, the BMW and the Boeing. But then there's also Mercedes. And then there's also a lot of other nonprofit partners, such as Low Country Land Trust. Then let's not forget about our higher ed institutions. So here are the colleges that we have partnership agreements with. And what we do with these colleges are called, I made it up, y'all, B2SN. I bet you can figure out what that means. Business to Student Networking Events. Because career services departments in colleges, they will have those career fairs. They'll bring in 30, 40 businesses. The kids pass out their resumes. Bada bing, bada boom. Well, the thing is, though, after being a recovering teacher and working in the work world a lot of times, the children that we have now, which are my children, she told you I have children in their 20s, communication is the thing. Trying to use those soft skills, walking up to somebody that they don't know that's a professional in the business world, saying who they are, what they're interested in, and asking good questions. So it's really just working on soft skills and networking is what we're doing with these colleges. And I'm telling y'all, the business partners and members that we have at Sustain SC, they get more out of it than the kids. And that's probably not a surprise to you all. But it's very enjoyable for them to get to see, what these bright young minds are thinking about when they pass by that business that they see every day. So we really enjoyed this partnership and will continue to work with them. Okay, so let's look at what the members have said about Sustain SC and what they're getting out of being a member. And y'all, please believe me, this is not a membership sales pitch. This is more about letting you know what one of your nonprofits that's public, privately funded is doing around the state. Okay, so 91% of members agree that Sustain SC truly brings value to their organization. We're extremely proud about that. If they said that, no, we don't want to fund you anymore, then that would be sad. We would want to know why. When we asked them the top 3 reasons why, first, building relationships with other businesses and stakeholders. Second, gaining access to sustainability-focused events and symposiums. We just held a huge annual conference, 2-day conference last week, that we had a business-to-business, so I had 5 top OEMs, and then 60 suppliers that came in and did their pitch to try to get a contract with those OEMs. And oh, by the way, everybody has to have sustainability goals and working on their sustainability. And then after that, we had the business to student networking event. And y'all, let me tell you, we had South Carolina State University, 2 buses come. I was so excited for them because they've gotten a lot of bad press lately. And those kids were so appreciative that they were selected to come and meet with these businesses. And you would not find better behaved, kinder, smart questions that these kids were asking. So that was very uplifting. And then after that, we went to City Roots for an organic farm tour. And you may or may not know about City Roots, but they grow organic microgreens. Well, their facility is the highest tech farm you can imagine, probably in Columbia, because it has a geothermal floor. It also has a canopy up top that's made of canvas that they can close and retract to make sure they're getting the right amount of sunlight. They have solar panels that they are generating enough energy that they're able to sell energy back to the utility. They also have taken on a Bitcoin farm that's sitting there. Again, because it needed so much energy, they're able to defer that from the grid and take care of that bit farm. So, they are thinking outside the box every day. How can we help our business? How can we help our community? And those are the kinds of stories that we, love to brag on. And then, everything we do is tied directly to our accelerator priorities. So you can see there what our accelerators are, which really makes up our strategic framework. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about City of Columbia's Climate Action Protection Committee. You all know that you live in a thriving area, and they are doing some really great things. So their greenhouse gas emissions that they're working on reducing by 2035, 80% by 2050, and 100% by 2060. That is like mind-blowing. They also aim for 100% renewable energy for its electricity. And then all of these things line up with where our priorities are. So affordable, reliable, sustainable energy, the circular economy, innovation and sustainable growth, and resilience and conservation. So leaning in a little bit more on what are Columbia's climate focus areas, and I just listed some stats for you, but there is a committee. If you're interested, you live in the city of Columbia or you have business in the city of Columbia, I can certainly get you in touch with those folks to join this committee to see how are they actually going about and doing this work. Okay, so let's talk about going back to SustainSC's strategic framework. We are doing underneath these 4 buckets right here. So expanding our economy, economic development and recruitment, and we are a pitch partner for Department of Commerce for companies. Growth and retention, again, you know, where my heart is, these businesses are already here helping them with their sustainability conversations. Municipal support and land use planning, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Greenwood, hopefully I'll have time. And then outreach and education, trends and data for decision makers are the things that we are working on. So let's go first to expanding our economy, the economic development and recruitment. And basically that's what I was just telling you. When a company comes here and they ask how sustainable is South Carolina, and a lot of these companies are from either out of state or they're from the EU or they're from somewhere around the world. Well, let me tell you, the EU has been doing sustainability and resilience plans for 50, 75, 100 years. We have a company in Greenwood, Velux, that they have been doing it longer than any other company that I know of. It's like 140 years that they've been talking about sustainability. So what might be a new concept to some of us is certainly something that has been going on and been being talked about and thought about. All right, so future plans, things that we're working on, the statewide sustainability scorecard. How sustainable is South Carolina? How do we measure up against our neighbors in Georgia and Florida and North Carolina? Again, we talked about being that recruitment pitch partner and then representing South Carolina nationally and internationally. So let's look at what that scorecard is actually going to be covering, because this is the first time a state has ever done this. Y'all know South Carolina loves to be the first. We don't want to be the last. We don't want to be the second. We want to be first. So this is our first scorecard. We're getting ready to put it out there, and this is what it's going to touch on. So energy, water, circularity, and conservation, and using metrics that are determined by reliable sources like the Department of Environmental Sciences is giving us data, the Office of Resilience is giving us data, as well as several of our colleges that are doing these metrics are giving us data. So I'm very excited and interesting to see what that's going to look like. Certainly it's a baseline, and as we go forward in the years to come, we'll get to see how those numbers are changing. All right, so we did a conservation poll, and what's so interesting about this is this was for conservation voters that are Republicans from GOP, and 90% of executives believe sustainability is important. 85% of investors consider sustainability factors in their investments, and this is 83%. Well, I just updated it the other day. We're now at 88% of the companies that are recruited here to South Carolina in the year 2025, they have sustainability goals. So this is not just a wish to have, this is a gotta have. And our state has got to have the infrastructure and the expertise to research those minds getting together to help these companies. All right, so one of the things that I mentioned earlier is municipal support and land use. And specifically, I'm going to talk just a little bit about what's going on with Greenwood. So Greenwood was heavily hit by Hurricane Helene. They had power out for 98% of them for 5 days. So you know when it's no power, that means no communications, no flush the toilet, no internet. I mean, it was a disaster that they were not prepared for. So after that happened, because, you know, y'all know where Greenwood is, they never thought a hurricane would come that way. So after that, we've been putting together people, and this is what Sustain SC is specifically doing with them. You know, convening, we're doing plans reviews, because the city has a plan, the county has a plan, emergency management has a plan. Looking at those reviews, finding commonalities, looking at the gaps, and then trying to move forward with this working group that is gonna actually tackle, you know, what does resilience look like in Greenwood. So this is a pilot for Sustain SC, but certainly going into 2026, we have other municipalities that have raised their hand that said, hey, we want to be a part of this too, because we were able to get dollars from the Shy Institute to do some assessments there. So there's also a number of other community building block grants and some other funding that's available that is not necessarily federal funding, but it's local funding. All right, so we talked about municipality sustainability and resilience, sustainable land use we're going to go into, and large-scale site selection. And that has to do with working with Department of Commerce. So on this one, the Land and Water Action Platform, the way to think about, oops, where am I? I went to, all right. So the way to think about Land and Water Action Platform. So we raised $275,000, and that money in its entirety is going to closing conservation and easement projects. So when a conservation group comes to us, like Low Country Land Trust or the Nature Conservancy or Open Space Institute or any of them, and they need something done to get that ball over the finish line. Do they need an assessment? Do they need closing dollars? Do they need, you know, one more look at environmental, and they need to pay a consultant? You know, what is it they need to get this over? And then that's where Sustain SC plugs in this amount of money. So 5 counties so far have been helped in just round 1. So that's 5, you know, additional conservation easements that otherwise would not have happened or would have taken longer. And then we just did the round 2 applications. Those haven't been released yet, but that's another 5 projects. So taking that money, $275, is all going to be spent, and we're going to end up having some number between 10 and 12 conservation projects that otherwise may not have happened or would have taken longer. And you all are probably pretty familiar with the governor's goal that he wants to conserve 50% of the land mass of South Carolina. Well, we're at, you know, so that's 20 million acres. We want to preserve 10 million. We're at, you know, around 3.5. So we got a long way to go to conserve the rest of our land, which I think everybody can agree that it's hard to go fishing in concrete. You can't do it. It's hard to do it. You gotta have our lakes and streams and our rivers to do that. All right. So outreach and education. This is where we kind of get more into the data and what the data is saying. So some stats, additional stats for you guys to look at here. Okay, my computer just went and did something funky. Oh, I'll just read it in. Oh, I get to move around. Look at that. Yeah, so this is back to the conservative voters, which we were looking for Republican GOP because we wanted to make sure that we were getting those that, you know, may not necessarily and openly support UN sustainability goals, but certainly they want to go fishing too. So we wanted to see how they felt about it. 90%. So 90% of the respondents support state legislative funding to assist in Hurricane Helene and other natural disasters. Well, I'm not surprised there. We are a kind state. We're all about community, and we are all about helping each other. So that's not a big surprise. 83% agree South Carolina needs to work together to conserve land and water. Again, I bet if we polled everybody in this room, that number would be higher. And then 81% said they support land and conservation. Yay, preach. All right. GOP voters overwhelmingly support clean energy projects. Y'all probably already know that 54% of our energy comes from nuclear, but we are looking at other renewable energy resources, and people are very interested in this. Nobody wants to black out. People want us to go more electric and get rid of our fossil fuels. Maybe not necessarily gasoline, I understand that, but we still have 2 coal plants in South Carolina that need to go down. So 73% vote there, and then supporting modernizing and improving the electrical grid and its infrastructure. 78% believe these actions have a positive impact on South Carolina. Well, gosh, yeah, they do. I have 6 miles from my house is going to be Scout Motors. It's going to be pulling a whole lot of electricity that we're neighbors. So this is something that people definitely are hear about. Another thing that we do is we work with Department of Commerce and Department of Environmental Services on a Recycling Market Development Advisory Council. So again, this is another very hot topic with our businesses, is their waste stream. How can they cut costs and take their waste and put it into a circular type of economy, more so than just recycling, thinking about re-engineering and repurposing what their waste does. And supply chain resilience. So this is putting together these partners that are going to help people in the supply chain. So what we hear from our big guys is that their supply chain is not familiar enough with reporting requirements. So these entities have got together. We're actually doing a webinar on November 19th on supply chain resilience, and then we'll do workshops next year specific to companies when they're trying to get a contract, the things that our big companies are expecting out of them. And then if you guys want to delve more into it, you can go to sustainsouthcarolina.org and you will find a sustainability resource guide. So if you're sitting here and you're from a business and you don't know, you're like, okay, this sounds really interesting. Let me see if this will be a competitive advantage for my company. Go to our website, download this resource guide, and it really will help you step by step to figure out if your company is a good fit. And then this is get to know your sustainability. So we have a fabulous, energetic, young CEO, Leslie Scarden, myself as SVP of Commerce, and then Kristen Austin Gunter. She leads our conservation efforts, and then Emily Skaggs, our director. And together we are here to join commerce and conservation. Now, are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Do you want to get involved in forest management at all?
That is such a great question. So Scott Phillips from the South Carolina Forestry Commission is on our board. And then we also have Tripp Chavis, who is the owner of Milliken Advisors. So, I mean, they are talking a lot about how we know that the timber industry is hurting because of the paper mills that shut down. To get involved only in the aspect of putting people in the same room together that are experts and letting them talk about it.
My concern with the question is the developers now. I live up in the northeast near Scout Motors. Out there.
I'm in Ridgeway.
Not picking on them at all, but it seems like it's a clear cut, just come in and take everything out.
1,600 acres, clear cut.
And that's just that, but all the developments that are coming in probably to support the employees behind that, thousands of trees taken out, just doesn't seem like there's a plan there. I came from a state where if a developer took a tree out, they had to plant one somewhere else.
Yes, and unfortunately, that is not a rule or regulation in South Carolina. What Scout did though, because they're required by law to mitigate their environmental impact, they did do improvements in other areas of South Carolina that needed it. Some forestry improvements, but in terms of them being required to plant more trees, they're not they're not required to. Once they get all the buildings built, the roads and all that, I feel certain they will put some more trees in there because, and this is just an aside, a biodiversity project is going on that Furman is leading with the companies that have a communal access to one another. So Scout, if you went past Scout, there are other companies that are right there. Pure Technologies is there. Coca-Cola Consolidated is in their back door. There are two others that I can't recall right now. But that middle forest area, they're all committed to doing something really cool with that middle forest area for their employees to have nature trails and, bird observations and doing some things with biodiversity. So that's a little bit that they can do, but no, nothing will replace the 1,600 acres or all the silt and sand that went downriver that they're paying EPA fines for. Yeah, truth. All I know how to do is speak truth, I'm sorry.
So Cynthia, I noticed that they did a poll of Republicans.
Mhm.
Is it just, that's where they feel like the biggest
Opposition,
would
exactly,
be, and the Democrats are, they don't worry about them, or
No,
they're doing the polling?
yeah, it's not that we don't worry, is that the consultant said, if you really want to see how people feel, go to those that oppose, and honestly, will openly oppose things when we talk about sustainability. Go to them and see what their real opinion is. So, yeah. It's not that the Democratic side doesn't matter, it certainly does. We just wanted to try to go to,
Well, that's where, I guess, in this day, where the power is, so that was kind of the point.
I can't comment on that. Our point is, we're here for everybody. That's why we're
I really
nonpartisan.
wondered, if it was nonpartisan and everything,
We are
but it
nonpartisan.
highlighted the GOP.
Yeah.
And, so,
I'll go back and tell them, 2026, it really does need to be both Republican and Democrats.
I would recommend including that in there, just so it doesn't stand out like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good recommendation.
But I will say, I lived in California before I moved back. to
Oh, so
California.
you're familiar.
Well, and it's not beautiful here. They did not have a sustainability plan. Depending on what part.
They got a lot of regulations now, though.
Well, as long as it's, you got a lot of collaboration, people on the same page.
Yeah, and we don't want to be California, we want to be Florida. We don't want to do that. We love our state. And I was born and raised in Spartanburg County. I'm gonna, Carolina born, Carolina bred, one day I'll be Carolina dead. So, it's important. Yes, sir.
Quick question. Tell me one thing that you are most proudest of that your organization has done in the past.
So I've been with it for 2 years, and I really have got to say that Land and Water Action Platform, because so many of other nonprofits were struggling with these projects on the books, and they couldn't get it over the line. And for us to get between 10 and 12 over the line in 1 year is astounding. It's astounding. And it just needs a little bit more money. I mean, these projects are only being given an amount between 20 and 50,000, which is nothing y'all know in the world of land acquisition. So, yeah, that's been amazing. Yes, sir.
So one of your slides spoke to Columbia sustainability, and it mentioned the Columbia Water and Light. What is that?
So Columbia Water has an amazing assistant manager. His name is Clint Sheely. Yeah, so Clint Sheely has done an awful lot to make sure Columbia Water is safe and clean. And if y'all are looking for another really good presenter, I'll recommend him.
Specifically, what is the light piece of that program?
I don't know. We took it off his data.
Okay.
We'll have to ask Clint why he put Columbia Water and Light on there.
Is it this little power generating plant at the canal?
Columbia Water and Light used to be the predecessor to SC&G, Florida Electric.
Okay. Is that the power
Yes.
generation station
Yeah.
right there at the canal?
Yeah, that's a start.
Clint is coming in 2026.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. We all have to tell him I spoke Howard. Yes, sir.
I lived in Spartanburg for 15 years, and I've never seen a better corporate steward than Milliken Company.
Amen.
And I noticed that their name is on there. Do they contribute a lot? Do they have a lot of input? Because they
Yes.
sure have changed the whole landscape of the Piedmont.
Yes, so, Milliken has been doing sustainability for, forever. That was very, and particularly having the arboretum, on site was very important to Roger Milliken. Emily Skaggs, who you just saw a picture of her, we stole her. We stole her from Milliken. So she was their, corporate sustainability report person, and so she wasn't leading the sustainability team, but she was very instrumental in what they're doing. So, yes, we are through her, very connected with Milliken, and they have an amazing sustainability team that they're working on. But how Milliken itself is so resilient to morph from being the textile king to then going into chemicals and additives and making sure those chemicals and additives are safe for our land, air, and water. I mean, it's just, it is an amazing company with an incredible culture. It used to be when I was going to high school and college there that people wanted to get a job at Milliken because it was known as the gold standard for training in business management.
Yeah.
The goal for 100% renewable energy, how much of that is new energy and how much of that is reduction in consumption?
Plant Sheely's coming in 2026. Yeah, that's right. Big question for you. All right, anything else? Yes.
Quick question. So, in your survey, you had people check if they believe sustainability is important, and I find it's really easy to check that box. Because a lot of people say, of course that's important. But if you say, well, my waste bill is $2,000 a month, but to make the state more sustainable and put things where they need to be, it's going to be $2,500 a month. Are they still checking the same box? How do we plug that into that equation?
Gauge that. Well, and then usually what I hear is that their electricity bill is $2,000 a month.
Sure.
Because with your, sewer and waste, that's taken care of differently. We're on a septic tank and a well, so yeah, we don't have those kind of bills in Ridgeway. But to circle back what you're saying, I think that what the utilities want to do is try to bring that utility cost down. And we honestly, y'all, if you look at other states, it is an affordable energy rate that we have. I know people may not agree with that, but if you look at other states, it is. But they feel like with doing some innovative things, grid modernization, bringing on things like small modular reactors. Y'all probably know that VC Summer, the reactor 2 is getting ready to get kind of cranked up. Santee Cooper just announced last week that they have found the consultant and able to work on that plan. So, I mean, there are things in motion for sure to help that. Going back to the waste issue though, and I may have to end with this. What's disappointing is South Carolina is one of the few states that does not have any kind of regulation or laws for recycling. So that means every single county, all 46 of them, have to come up with their own recycling plan and their own ways that they are getting residents to recycle or residents to do their trash, which is why the Lieutenant Gov is so passionate about litter, because oftentimes, especially in rural areas, people won't drive that 15, 20, 30 miles to recycling.
Why?
So we don't have that in South Carolina. We need it desperately. Yes.
Why would we recycle? Because it goes to the same, like, it seems like I would do it if it was working. This is the hook. I feel like this is a solution. I'll just exit this door.
We need to cut the questions.
We'll talk out. Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia. We are very grateful for you for speaking. So thank you so much. You did a great job. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We got them all fixed with some new batteries, so that was good. So next week's speaker is Lieutenant Colonel Jim McKinney, U.S. retired. He's spoken before. He does a great job. Looking forward to getting him, and I know Laura will get him ready for next week. Also, just a couple of things. We got sign-up sheets back there, the link for bell ringing. If you haven't signed up yet, please sign up. That's such a great thing that we do, and want to give Andy the support for doing what he does. There's also a sign-up sheet back there for food packing. I was talking with Graham earlier, and we're gonna up the number of meals this year. We're not exactly sure how many, but we're gonna up it a good bit this year, and we appreciate that. Appreciate Jenny being willing to help with it as well. So also, somebody, hold on, I'll come back to you. Somebody gave me 2 tickets to Grand Canyon's game night tonight, Andrew Clarkson. So if anybody wants to go, come up and see me. I've got a trivia question for anybody that wants to go after the meeting. Laura, you got something?
Julie, if you could just flip back on the slides to the one right before Cynthia. United Way asked if we would just let everybody know about an opportunity for a program they have called the Blueprint. There we go. There it is. Oh, one more. There we go. Blueprint for Leadership is a program that the United Way runs, and it's about training for becoming a board member to serve on the board. So for further information, I think Julie can put this out in her newsletter. I think the program starts in, they're gonna have one starting in February of next year. But again, I think we all know about the challenges of joining a board. If you don't join a board that does a lot of really good board training, this is a great opportunity to really learn and understand your role as a board member. There is a fee for this, so all the details are there, but if you want to learn more or apply, you can go to United Way website.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. So now we're going to close in song.